27 fish. One afternoon. One guy, his buddy next to him. 3. Same bait, same river, same hooks, same damn spot. And the guy with 3 fish had just spent $47 at the tackle shop that morning. Scent spray, premium cut bait. A new rig he saw on YouTube. $47. The guy with 27 fish spent nothing. He just made a cut. A 1/4-inch slice in the right spot on his bait. Something his grandfather showed him on the banks of the Mississippi. And the fish hit it like they hadn't eaten in a week. Aggressive. Fast. No hesitation. That move takes 4 seconds. Costs $0. And the tackle industry has every reason in the world to make sure you never find out about it. You're finding out today. If this is your first time here, hit subscribe and ring that bell. Every week we bring back the fishing knowledge that old-timers mastered and the industry quietly buried. Back in the 1940s, a retired game warden named Earl Hutchins used to fish the White River in Arkansas every Saturday morning. He never bought a single piece of premium bait, never touched a scent spray, never paid $14 for a bag of processed stink bait. But Earl was the most consistent angler on that stretch of water for 30 years straight. His neighbors figured he had a secret spot. His fishing buddies thought he was just lucky. His grandson, now in his 60s, finally started talking about what Earl actually did. And it wasn't about location. It wasn't about fancy gear. Earl made a cut, a small, deliberate slice in his bait before it ever hit the water. And fish hit it differently. More aggressively. Faster. Like they'd been waiting for it. People called Earl's method old-fashioned, a quirk, an old man's habit. But every single person who fished next to Earl long enough eventually noticed. His stringer filled up first. Every time. This isn't just one story. Catfish guides on the Tennessee River have whispered about this for decades. Old-school striper fishermen on the Chesapeake did it too. Down in the Atchafalaya Basin in Louisiana, crawfishermen turned anglers built entire fishing reputations around this one move. Up in the Ozarks, it was passed down like a family recipe. Father to son, never written down, never sold in a tackle shop. Because you can't sell it, you can't bottle it, you can't put a $29.99 price tag on a cut you make with your own knife. And that's exactly why you've never seen it on a fishing show. Think about that for a second. The fishing bait market in the U.S. alone is worth over $770 million and is on track to cross $1 billion by 2032. Every single dollar of that depends on you not knowing what Earl Hutchins knew, not knowing what those Atchafalaya guides knew, not knowing what we're covering right now. One cut. 4 seconds. 0 cost. And the results are going to make you question every dollar you've ever spent on scent attractants. 2 guys. Private pond outside Nashville, Tennessee. 2 summers ago. Both using fresh-cut skipjack. Same fish, same day, same section of water. One prepared his bait the traditional way. Cut into chunks, hooked clean, cast out. The other made a single shallow score across the fleshy side of each chunk before hooking it. First, 45 minutes. The angler with scored bait had 4 strikes. His buddy across the pond had 1. End of session. 19 fish versus 6. Catfish, stripers, a couple of bonus largemouth that had no business being interested in skipjack. But they came. Same water. Same cast distance, same rod setup. The only variable was that cut. Now, a skeptic would say coincidence. Fine. But this same pattern shows up again and again when you talk to serious catfish anglers. A guide on Santee Cooper in South Carolina, one of the most productive freshwater striper and catfish lakes in the entire Southeast, described this technique as The difference between a bait that sits there and a bait that broadcasts. Broadcasting. That's the right word for what's happening. When you drop an uncut chunk of skipjack or shad into the water, it releases scent. Slowly. Passively. The oils seep out over time and drift with the current. But when you score that bait first, the exposed tissue immediately starts releasing. Faster, more volume, more reach. You're not waiting for the water to work on the bait. You've already opened the door for it. An experienced flathead guide from the Ohio River puts it this way: unscored bait is like a closed envelope drifting in the water. Scored bait is that same envelope, opened up, pages flapping in the current. Fish don't have to guess. They know. And the fish count backs it up every single time. Here's what's actually happening underwater. A fish's sense of smell is not remotely comparable to ours. Humans have around 350 functional olfactory receptor genes. Some fish species have over 100 types of specialized odor receptors dedicated entirely to detecting amino acids in the water. That's a system built for one purpose: finding food from a distance. Research published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences confirmed that fish are hardwired to respond to amino acid signals in the water. It's not a preference, it's a neurological reflex. The moment certain amino acid compounds hit their olfactory receptors, the feeding circuit in the brain activates. They don't decide to go investigate. They go. Period. So, what does your cut bait have to do with this? Fresh fish flesh, skipjack, shad, bluegill, carp, perch, is loaded with free amino acids: glutamate, alanine, glycine, taurine. These are the same compounds that signal live prey to every predatory fish in the water. When that flesh is intact, those amino acids are locked inside the tissue. They release slowly as the bait breaks down. But the moment you score the surface, a shallow cut, maybe a quarter-inch deep across the broadest part of the chunk, you rupture the cell walls underneath. The amino acids start leaching immediately. The oils in the flesh hit the water faster. The signal gets louder. Think of it like this: a slow cooker versus an open pan on a hot burner. Both fill the kitchen with the smell of garlic eventually. But the open pan does it in 2 minutes. The slow cooker takes hours. Your scored bait is the open pan. Catfish can detect chemical compounds at concentrations as low as 1 part per 10 billion. Striped bass navigate by scent gradients during migrations. Largemouth bass have lateral line systems that combine scent and pressure detection to triangulate food sources in murky water. Every one of these fish is built to follow the strongest signal in the water column, and your scored bait is producing that signal louder and faster than anything the guy next to you has on his hook. This isn't folk magic. It's biochemistry. The old-timers figured it out long before any lab did. All right, here's exactly how to do it. You'll need fresh-cut bait: skipjack herring, shad, bluegill, or gizzard shad. A sharp fillet knife or bait knife. Your regular hook setup. That's it. No cost, no product, just a knife you already own. Step 1. Cut your bait chunk as normal. About 1.5 to 2 inches for catfish and stripers. Smaller for bass and walleye. Clean cut, fresh flesh. Frozen thawed works, but fresh killed is best because the amino acid concentration is higher before breakdown begins. Step 2. Hold the chunk with the flesh side, not the skin side, facing up. Step 3. Make 2 or 3 shallow parallel cuts across the flesh. Each cut about a quarter-inch deep. Just enough to break through the surface tissue and expose the layer underneath. Don't cut all the way through. You want the chunk to stay together on the hook and hold its shape in the current. Step 4. hook the chunk through the skin side, leaving the scored flesh facing outward toward the current. This is the key positioning. Water needs to pull over that exposed tissue, not the skin. Step 5. Cast out and let it sit. Don't overwork it. The bait is doing its job passively. Now here's the detail most people miss, and it makes a real difference. In moving water, like a river or a tidal flat, position the scored face upstream. Let the current pull the scent trail downstream toward you. Fish holding in that zone will hit the scent trail and swim directly toward the source. You become the end point of a scent highway. In still water, a pond, a reservoir cove, a backwater lake, give it 15 minutes before moving the bait. The scent cloud needs time to establish. Move too soon, and you break up the concentration that was just starting to pull fish in. Hole prep. Under 30 seconds per bait. Best fish for cut bait, in order of scent potency. Skipjack herring. Highest oil content, most amino acid rich. Gizzard shad, bluegill, and fresh carp. Mackerel works great in saltwater and tidal river setups. Stripers in the Chesapeake and Hudson respond hard to scored mackerel chunks. Keep your bait on ice until the moment it goes on the hook. The colder the flesh, the more concentrated the amino acid payload. Warm, mushy bait has already started losing its punch. In the freezer, pre-cut unscored chunks last up to 2 months. Score them fresh each session. Never pre-score and refreeze, because the cell damage continues and you lose potency before the bait ever hits the water. Want to push this even further? 3 add-ons the old river guides used. None of them cost more than a couple of dollars. One costs nothing. Garlic oil. A few drops rubbed into the scored cuts before casting. Garlic contains glutamate compounds nearly identical to the amino acid signature fish already key in on. Catfish in particular respond hard to this combination. Any grocery store, under $5. 1 bottle lasts an entire season. Salt rub. Lightly salting the scored surface before it goes in the water draws moisture out through osmosis, which accelerates amino acid leaching from the moment the bait hits the surface. 5 extra seconds. Makes the bait work faster. Fresh chicken liver insert. Targeting flathead or channel catfish. Press a small piece of fresh chicken liver into one of the score cuts before hooking. The liver bleeds out slowly and adds a secondary scent layer. River catfishermen in Kentucky and Tennessee have used this combination for generations. It's ugly. It works like nothing else. With those 3 additions, your bait now hits 3 of the 5 sensory systems fish use to locate food. Olfaction, amino acids and garlic. Taste, salt draws them to mouth the bait. And visual contrast. Scored flesh shows brighter than intact skin in any light condition. Now, here's the part that should genuinely make you angry. Walk into any Bass Pro or Cabela's and look at the scent aisle. Bottles of synthetic scent spray, attractant gels, amino acid formulas, running anywhere from $8 to $30 a bottle. Some premium stuff clears $40. What are they selling you? Synthetic amino acid compounds designed to mimic exactly what naturally occurs in fresh-cut bait. That's it. They took what happens for free inside a piece of skipjack, isolated it in a lab, put it in a bottle, and charged you $25 for the privilege of buying back what the fish in your river already respond to naturally. The bait market is on track to clear over $1 billion by 2032. Every one of those dollars assumes you don't know about a knife and a scoring technique that costs nothing. That's not an accident. That's a business model. Let's talk about where and when this technique works best. Because the cut alone isn't enough if you put it in the wrong conditions. Best water. Moderate current. Moving water carries the scent trail downstream and creates a corridor that fish follow back to the source. Dead still water works too, but the scent cloud disperses in a circle rather than a line, so fish can approach from any direction, which is actually fine for still water catfishing. Avoid high, muddy floodwater. The water is already full of competing scent particles from runoff. Your signal gets buried. Wait for it to drop and clear, even slightly, before running this technique. Best times: first light and the 2 hours before sunset. Catfish and stripers are most actively hunting during low-light periods. That's when their chemosensory systems are working hardest, and the scored bait makes the biggest difference in pulling fish from distance. Dead of night also works. Flatheads especially are almost entirely scent-driven after dark. Water temperature. Below 50 degrees, fish metabolism slows. They're still catchable, but they won't chase. Your bait needs to be right in their face. In cold water, score deeper, a full 1/4 inch into the flesh, to maximize immediate release. In warm summer water above 70 degrees, fish are aggressive and moving. A lighter score is enough. By species: catfish. Blue cats and flatheads want the biggest, oiliest chunks. Skipjack herring scored on both sides. Channel cats are less picky. Scored bluegill or shad works perfectly. Striped bass. Fresh scored mackerel or menhaden, bunker in coastal and tidal river setups. The Chesapeake, the Hudson, the Delaware all produce hard with this method. Keep the chunk smaller, around 1.5 inches. Stripers bite and run. Too big a chunk, and they grab it without getting hooked. Largemouth bass, less common cut bait target, but in pressured lakes where bass have seen every artificial in the catalog, a small scored piece of fresh bluegill triggers reaction bites. Fish it slow, near bottom structure. Walleye, scored perch or sucker meat on a slow drift through rock structure. Upper Midwest anglers used this before jigs were even a thing. The one mistake that kills this whole technique: not keeping the scored face exposed to the current. If you hook the chunk so the skin faces the current and the flesh faces away, the water isn't pulling over the exposed tissue. You lose most of the effect. Skin side toward you, flesh side toward the water. Every single time. And that full system, everything the old-timers knew, all of it organized and laid out straight, is exactly what we put together in Next Level Fishing. The water game. Everything the industry buried. No filler, no fluff, just the knowledge. Reading water. Identify productive zones in seconds, not hours. Structure and positioning. Where the fish actually are, not where the map says they should be. Current and tide control. Use the water's movement as a weapon. Behavioral patterns. Anticipate what the fish will do before it does it. High-level mindset. Stop guessing and start deciding. The link is pinned in the first comment. It's the knowledge they tried to bury. Now it's in your hands. Picture your next trip. The guy in the next spot just dropped $30 on synthetic amino acid attractant. You scored your skipjack with a knife you already own. 30 seconds of prep. 45 minutes in, your rod bends. Hard. Then again. Then again. He looks over. Asks what you're using. You hold up the same skipjack he's got in his cooler. He stares at you. You decide whether you tell him about the cut. The tackle industry spent decades telling you that success on the water lives in a bottle on a shelf. It doesn't. It lives in a 1/4 inch slice, and the understanding that the fish in your water are wired, at a neurological level, to respond to it every single time. What changes on your next trip now that you know this? Subscribe and hit that bell. The next one covers something old-timers on the Great Lakes refused to write down for 50 years. We found it.